reflections on Practicum week 3. Just to go over the goals again, the goal to get better at handling animals, get better at talking on the phone, and get better at handling or explaining vaccines and diet and things like that to clients. So, week 3, day 1, absolutely crazy, really busy, lots of work on the phone, people wanting food for their animals after the weekend, that's like playing catch up with all the things that went on during the weekend almost. Even though the emergency clinic is there's still so many appointments in and people wanting to make appointments, things like that. So that day kind of went by as a blur. Also, that day was the first day that we were allowing people into the building again, but in a closed sort of way. So the way it works is they give us a call when they're there for their appointment, and then we bring them out of the parking lot into the exam room, and things proceed as normal. So another learning curve, very much like, oh, right, okay, billing them in the room, that's kind of what we've been doing. But then, how do you say, okay, we're done here, kind of thing, like, oh, you're good to go, things like that. So that was something to go over. Day 2, week 3, not my favorite day. No, not my favorite day. It was, again, very busy, and I had the misfortune of being a part of, I had to bring in a case. Some of the cases we're not bringing in because it's just like bringing the owners in for it because it's just something they don't need to be there for. This one was kind of like a splint change or something. So I saw the name on the chart, the doctor's name, and usually they like it if you go tell them, okay, this case is here, and the owner had these concerns. So of course, I put the dog in a run. The run wasn't secured properly, and the dog got out, and that wasn't great, but it was okay because, they got it and it was fine. But I was gently reminded, hey, by the way, that run's pretty tricky. You might want to watch that. And I was like, okay, bring the clipboard to the doctor, and the doctor goes, I've never seen this dog before. I was like, okay, that's interesting. And they said, get me a medical history on that. So I'm like, okay, gonna do that. And the medical history was brought to them, and they figured it out eventually what happened, but it was an absolute mess to be stuck in the middle of. And I was like, oh no, I'm the one that brought that in. Even though I didn't make the appointment, I was still kind of like attached to this because I was, I guess, the first one to talk to the owners. So that was a little bit rough, and I think people were very graceful. It's not like it was bad. It was just a little bit like, oh, now I'm stuck in the middle of this. So that was unfortunate. Apart from that day again was very busy, putting together medications, like having them checked, make sure that's good, calling people to let them know the medications are in and ready for pickup, all of that kind of stuff, or prescriptions, I should say. And that was pretty much day 2, just kind of how that went. Then there was day 3, week 3, and that was a pretty interesting day. I actually got to help put things into the schedule and learn a bit more about making a schedule and how that works, because previously they just had the blocks pre-made and I'm just kind of like scheduling appointments in there, but I got to actually help building the slots. So not the slots themselves, because you have to know the doctor's schedules and it takes a long time. You can't learn that in a day. So I just started out putting breaks for the doctors in certain slots, and special breaks as well, which are ones kind of like appointment times that we hold for the day of, which is pretty cool. So that was fun. Also on that day, on the emergency side there, I helped do the paperwork and the bringing in of clients for a euthanasia. And I think that was really important. I think that was an important experience. It was sad, of course, but I think it was also a valuable experience because the clients, I think they needed almost a reassurance like they're doing the right thing, because I think along with making that choice for their pet is a measure of feeling guilty, or the potential to feel guilty. So helping those people, getting them billed as soon as possible and making it as easy as possible for them was a really important thing, and I think it was a very valuable experience. So those were the 2 things that came out to me there on that experience. I think just being able to ease some of the stress around that. And then there was day 4. Day 4, there was actually a lot of people calling in about food in particular and diet and like, okay, I need to get this dog food for my dog. You know, I've had it here before. And then so many dog foods are on back order right now, especially the hypoallergenic. So we keep having to like either say you could check at a pet store for something similar, or we also say like, oh, we have this that could be a replacement. So starting to learn more about the diet stuff is what I've noticed. It takes time, it really does, because there's so many different things and it's hard to remember what goes well with what, you know? So that was interesting. Then there was also just a lot more phone calls and appointment making. I think I'm getting more comfortable on the phone. I think one thing about the phone is it's not my favorite thing. I'm like, you know, I can answer the phone really well now and talk, but sometimes it's like, uh-oh, I can't hear them pronounce their name correctly. I ask them to spell it, can't quite hear it. It can be a bother sometimes, but it's also definitely gotten a lot better. Day 4, I also noticed I think I need to get a little better at handling small dogs, oddly enough. The biggest thing is getting them out of kennels and runs when they have to go home. I've noticed that's sometimes can be a little stressful. I'm not quite sure why there, so that's something I'm working on. And then day 5 here, week 3, day 5, really highlighted learning the protocol on bringing clients into the clinic, billing them out, and then making them feel comfortable on their way out, not just leaving them in the room like, okay, you're free to go, and then just bye, you know, but actually escorting them out and stuff and that kind of thing, just giving them a hand where they need it. I think that's been really useful and really interesting. I think this has been an interesting practicum so far because there's so many new experiences all the time, because you know, there was just the first week and then there was emergency and now we've opened up. So things are always changing and it's really interesting to navigate all of those things. Apart from that, that's pretty much it for this week.